Kia ora e te whānau nā kaimahi ko ririwai, ko Oli tōku ingoa. Welcome back to the plumbing workshop team. My name's Oli and today we're going to have a look at how to cut and join polypropylene random pipe. So let's get into it. But first we're going to have a brief conversation about safety equipment. Because the tool we're using today is really hot, we need to make sure we have full length cotton overalls. And with this tool, the area of our body we're most concerned with are our hands and our forearms. Now in my experience, 90% of the burns I've seen are in this area here, so we have to make sure our arms are covered. We also need to make sure we have non-slip work-safe boots on before we enter the workshop area, and of course our eyes have to be covered. And the last piece of safety equipment we need before we proceed further is some leather gloves that will provide protection to our hands from the hot surface of the welding tool. Okay team, our key piece of equipment today is the Electro welder, and what this does is this provides the temperature to melt our pipe for when we fuse it together. Now be aware when we're handling this tool it can be over 200 degrees Celsius, that's why our PPE is essential. When we're using this tool, especially when we're new to it, the best practice is to have it on a table like that to make sure it can't knock away. But be careful, you're going to have to control your area and make sure people that are casually around the area don't walk past and touch the tool. The second tool we're going to be using is a pipe shear. Now this tool is used to cut the pipe, and I've got two examples of that tool here. I have a shear type and I have the more expensive ratchet action type. Both these tools do the same thing. They provide a nice lovely square cut onto our polypropylene random pipe. So when we cut the pipe, all we do is bring the pipe around, place it in the middle of the shear and ratchet down. And once we get that pipe to index or start to biting, we twist the pipe and we continue all the way through, which gives us a lovely square cut. Okay team, now we have to get power to our Electro welder. But before we do that, we're just going to do a few pre-operational checks. We're going to look at it and we're going to make sure the heads have been attached firmly and there's no wobble in there. We're also going to make sure there's no obvious damage to the handle or the switch. And we're going to inspect the cable for no obvious faults. And we're going to make sure it's tested and tagged and the device is in date. We're then going to come over and plug it in. So now we've plugged the tool in, we can come over and turn the tool on, and now we have to wait approximately 2 minutes for the tool to heat up. Okay, so our tool is now safely up to temperature and we're going to start welding using the tool. So we grab the pipe and the fitting we're going to use to join it, and when we bring these around to face the tool, the pipe goes into the female end of the tool former and the socket will go into the male end here. Now the technique here is to push it on slowly, and I like to push against each other so you find a bit of resistance. And we're going to push it on slowly and nicely. Once they're in place, we don't have to keep on pushing, just let it sit there. And we're going to count in our own heads a slow count to 10. So I'm already at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're now going to pull it off the former, and we don't have to rush, we have time. We're going to push the pipe into the socket until those obvious lips just there meet. Now when they meet, we're just going to provide enough pressure that it won't push back, and we're going to let it sit there. We can adjust the pipe up and down or left and right, but we can't twist the pipe at this point. If we were to do that, we'd compromise the join. After about say 20 seconds, that pipe is now not going to move again. Now my advice to you is for that piece of pipe now, lay it on the table and let it have 10 minutes to rest before we put any stress or pressure on that pipe before continuing the next weld. Okay, so we'll just do one more example of that. We've now got our pieces, we're going to push them together again, and we're going to push them in till they hit an obvious stop, counting our heads for a slow count to 10. So we're at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We don't have to be in a hurry, we can remove them and push those two together till those two obvious lips on the male and the female meet when they're there. At that point we can adjust slightly the pipe, but we can't twist it. Hold it where we like it, and after approximately 10 to 15 seconds that joint is now set. It's still going to be warm, and we'll just lay it on the table and we're finished. Okay guys, that finishes up for the day. Thanks for joining us to look at how to join polypropylene random pipe together. Just by way of summary, remember when you are using this tool, it's really hot, so you're required to have full length overalls, you need to have your safety boots on, it's leather gloves to cover your hands, and at all times remember your goggles in the Wintec workshop. So the tools we used again today guys are Electro welding iron, we used a pipe cutting shear, and we used a ratchet action pipe cutting shear. And before we leave you for the day, just remember at Wintec, when you're here on practical block courses or you're learning, your tutors are always there to help. So please ask questions and we'll keep everyone safe.